So, good afternoon fellow cadets and fellow cadets, and especially to you Ma'am MJ Magna. So, today let's talk about space, forms, volume, and different kind of shapes. So, first, space. So, when we talk about space, no, masabtan din nato nga, space, siya bakante or sa para three-dimensional extent, siya pang, but in space and painting, as in architecture, space is of great importance. The exterior of a building is seen as it appears in space, while the interior is seen by one who is inside an enclosure. Painting does not deal with space directly. It represents space only on a two-dimensional surface. Sculptures involves very little space relationships or perception of space. So ang space, no, manotice na siya sa kuan, sa tao nga nasulod sa building, just like this example na kung sulod sa kuan. So, ang kalayan niya sa painting o sa architecture, ang painting is only two-dimensional. So, when we say dimensional, it is a measure na from up here to there, diha, to side, muna siya multi-dimensional. While sa painting, makita mo, hindi mo siya ma-measure of three-dimensional because wala siya wala siya murag, something like that. So, space daw, this exterior of a building is seen as it appears in space, while the interior is seen as balanced inside an enclosure. So, it's only seen sa tao nga nasa sulod sa building. Muna siya makawitness sa space. So, moving on. Form. So, move to sa form. Form applies to the overall design of a work of art. It describes the structure or shape of an object. Form directs the movements of the eyes, since form consists of size and volume. It signifies visual weight. Every kind of form has its own aesthetic effect. All the visual arts are concerned with form. Sculpture and architecture deal with the three-dimensional forms. Sculptures, however, deals with exterior form alone because one cannot get inside the statue. Sculpture is restricted to masses in relation to other masses as a means of interpretation. Michelangelo's David idealizes and conventionalizes forms and features, like the best of the golden Greek sculpture. So, ang form daw applies sa overall design of a work of art. So, basically, wala siya ang kabuuang anyo or panlabas anyo sa isa ka art. It either be painting, or be sculpture, or an architecture. So, just like makita mo sa picture, hindi siya visible because of the quality sa camera. So, nakoy picture dito, ano siya ang example of form. Ang forma sa isa ka art or architecture or building. So, muna siya ang form. So, saban mo sa ang form. So, moving on. Muna siya ang katong gingon nga Michelangelo's David. Muna siya ang sculpture. Italian Renaissance made by marble. Sculpture ni Michelangelo way back 1500s. So, ano siya ang forma? You're very familiar, no? In addition to function, another factor determining form is the way in which a building is constructed. Skyscrapers could not have been built had it not been made necessarily by rising land values resulting from urban congestion. Great architecture, therefore, is produced only when elements of functions and constructions are integrated into creative design. Triangles, circles, and squares are favorite designs used by painters. Tables, buildings, picture frames, and furniture are usually composed of cubes or rectangular solids. So, magamit ko rin sa architecture ang mga basic shapes like triangles, circles. So, oranges, electric balls, lakes, and domes are shaped as spheres. Trees, mountains, and flowers are cones. The trunk of trees, human arms or legs. The pencils are cylinders. Architecture is also concerned with shapes of planes, openings, and silhouettes of building forms. So, magamit ko rin, makikita ko rin nato sa architecture ng mga shapes, no? Di ko nato manotice because they are subtracted or added back for due to this design purposes, hindi ka na ma-notice na yung mga siguro sa furniture, notice na to, kung lamesa, kita na to lamesa kay square din siya. So, moving on. So, dito sa mga shapes, so we are very familiar with shapes now since we are elementary pa lang. We are very familiar na sa mga shapes. So, one of shapes is, letter A is circle. A series of points arranged equally in balance about a point. So, a circle is series of points arranged equally in balance on a point. So, a circle. It starts with a pointed as a circle. So, letter B, triangle. A plane figure is bounded by 3 sides and having 3 angles. So, as you can see, hindi siya visible. Sila na, Chin? Siya ay 3 sides and having 3 angles. As you can see. So, letter C, square, a plane figure that has 4 and equal sides and 4 right angles. So, kabalo na tayo. So, square na siya 4 equal sides and 4 right angles. So, moving on. So, move ta sa forms of architecture. So, there are 5 forms in architecture, no? But, basically, ang sa book ni Ma'am is 4 lang siya. So, wala na akong insert ng isa na. Regular forms are those whose parts are related to one another in a consistent, orderly manner. They are generally stable in a symmetrical prime. Examples of regular forms are Platonic solids and about one more axis. So as you can see, hindi ko siya visible dito sa camera, pero ang regular forms, muna siya mga basic shapes lang. Just like circle or sphere, triangles, square, muna siya. Ginagamit ko rin siya sa architecture. Usually sa kuan ng mga kanang sa furniture, kanang sulod-sulod sa itong balay, ng mga lamisa, mga siya kasagaran na gumagamit ng mga regular forms in architecture. So forms can still retain the regularity even when transformed dimensionally or by addition or subtraction of elements. So ang forms, makita rin ko na siya, ang shapes of forms, ang form shapes, makita rin ko na siya even though ginagagan ba, gipaan, due to design purposes in architecture. So, ma-determine niya po na ito ay, circle din siya. Kung siya forma, square, just like that. So, moving on. Irregular forms. So, move to sa regular forms. Regular forms are those whose parts are similar and unrelated to one another. These are regular forms from which regular elements have been subtracted or an irregular composition of regular forms. They are generally asymmetrical and dynamic. So this regular forms is mula na siya, same lang siya sa kuan. Same lang siya sa regular forms. But ang irregular forms are elements have been subtracted or added. Muna siya, kung ingon ako kanina, kuan lang murag due to design purposes, no? Kuan, liwagan ba, mga siya ang symmetrical or dynamic. Muna siya irregular forms. Muna siya same lang siya sa regular forms, ang irregular forms. So, next. Centralized forms consist of a number of secondary forms clustered to produce a dominant central and parent form. These forms share the self-centering properties of the point in circle. These forms are ideal of freestanding structures isolated with their context, dominating a point in space or occupying the center of the defined field. So, ano yung mga centralized forms? Ma-apply siya sa mga building. Ang best example, ano yung kanang Eiffel Tower in Paris, kanang Eiffel Tower. So, kita nyo siya, mara siya cone forma, pero na siya mga just like mga brace na di mo usapkan, ma-form siya kuhan. Ano siya best example sa centralized forms, ang kanang kuhan, Eiffel Tower in Paris. So, moving on sa linear forms. Linear forms are arranged sequentially in a row or a series forms along a line. A linear form can result from a proportional change in a form's dimensions or arrangements of a series of a form along a line. So, pag makabantay mo ka ng mga dormitory, ka ng mga very uniform lang ang iyang pag-construct sa building, kung sa inaw sa pinakaunang room mo, inaw sa pinakalas. Just like this, kita niyo nani siya sa National University of Ireland, Galway. Hindi siya forma, kanang murag pa lang siya building nga. Diretso lang ba, isa lang design. Murag pa lang inline by inline ang pagbuhat sa building. So muna siya kuan linear forms, pwede palinya siya forma siya. So, next, radial forms are compositions of a linear form that extend outward from central form in a radial manner. So kaning radial forms, muna siya mga design na muna siya pakuan ni mga fidget spinners type. So, na siya ang basic example niyo. Ang The Blue Planet and Ellesmere Port, England, aquarium. Ano siya, ano yung gawas. Ano siya. Ano na. Nanakamumpan, spiral forms. So, next, the last form, grid forms. Grid forms are modular forms whose relationships are regulated by three-dimensional grade. A grade generates a space of intersecting sets of regular space. Parallel square grid generates a spatial network of reference points and lines within this modular framework in any number of forms and spaces can visually organize. So, ano siya ang grid forms? Ano siya design na yung box without. Just like, may ito example nyo. Ano siya forma? Ano siya box. Ano siya ang CNP Corporate Headquarters at Graz, Austria. Ano siya forma apply siya sa architecture na siya design na read. So, ano siya ang mga forms of architecture. So, moving on. Lastly is the volume. Volume is the term volume refers to the amount of space occupied in three dimensions. It therefore refers to solidity or thickness. We perceive volume in two ways, by contour lines, outlines or shapes of objects, and by surface lines and shadows. Volume is the primary concern of architects because a building always encloses space. The building must have everything in space, no matter at what angle the lights fall on it or from what view look at it. The outlines or shadows change every time the viewer shifts his positions. The viewer, therefore, may obtain not one but many different reflections from a single work. So, ang volume daw, ano siya ang occupied space in a three dimensions. So, ano siya sa isang ka-building, ano siya ang amount na space nga bakante or ang mga mga sudlan pag is like basta term volume refers to the amount of space occupied na three dimension. Muna siya ang volume or ganun sa or amount of space ba occupied sa isa ka building. It refers also sa kagahiton or sa kabagaon. We perceive volume in two ways. So there are two ways in volumes, no? Contour lines or in outline or shapes of an object. So when we say contour lines, no? Ano siya ang is like ang mga doors, outline shapes or surface. By surface lights and shadows. Volume is the primary concern of architecture because the building always encloses space. So it's like space occupied by three dimensions. Volume is amount of space occupied by three dimensions. So I hope you all understand about my report. So thank you.